Welcome to Spiritually Speaking with Skyla, and I have Danielle Fletcher back again.
I'm just the favorite guest,
yes,
obviously.
She honestly is. We have so much to talk about, and so I feel like we could just do so many episodes together, and like I wanted to get it started. It was perfect, and so I'm so happy that you're here again, and I get to pick your brain on all these little things.
And I'll be here as much as she wants me to be here. So.
Yes. I actually negotiated that. I negotiated her availability. So today, like, one of the first things we would like to touch on is what we can control versus what we can't control, and our thoughts and our actions, and how we can use that to our benefit and how some people use it to their disadvantage.
Yes, that's a good point right there. Is that you can either use them for your benefit or your disadvantage, right? Your thoughts and your actions is really only what you have control over. That's the only thing that you're responsible for, right? And to that point, I've actually been receiving this message a lot in the last few days, but a lot of people think, like, God speaks about loving you unconditionally, right? And so you can just be however you are and you'll be 100% accepted. But I kind of disagree with it, and I've been receiving this message from a lot of people that I listen to recently, like a lot of teachers I look up to. And what God really says, like in the Bible, is that your mind can lead you astray. You know, your mind isn't always, all your thoughts that you receive aren't always godly
not
thoughts.
How you should act. Absolutely not.
So
yeah, it's hard to make that differentiation because your brain is working as a human brain. But like what I always think is really interesting is there's one person there's one part of your brain that's having the thoughts, and there's one part of your brain that's listening to the thoughts, and they're different.
Experiencer and observer.
Yes, they're different. And so you can experience, intrusive thoughts, things that happen. Like, I don't know about you, sometimes like a bus goes by and you're like, jump in front of the bus. And it's like, okay, probably not a good idea. But I'm just like intrusive thoughts. Like, I know we all have them, and I'm not like the only one that has weird
Someone
thoughts
cuts
like
you
that.
off on the highway and you're like, I wish I had a flamethrower.
Yeah, I just like murder them. But then like obviously that's not what you should do. And so you have the observer and you have the one that like, they're so different. And I think that's where a lot of people get lost, is they think that their thoughts are them.
Yes.
And then they let their thoughts control their reality.
1,000%.
I mean, I've gone over so many scenarios in my brain about all these things that could happen. And like -2% of the time, what I think is going to happen happens. And so like, one of my favorite things that I saw recently, I'm kind of going to butcher it, but it's basically this girl that is looking at her hand, and she's telling her hand to open. But like, as hard as you tell your hand to open, it will not open, because your words and your things that you're saying, they don't have power over what you do. You have power over what you do. And when you decide to open your hand opens. But as much as you want to scream at your hand, tell your hand to open, think the hand to open, it will not open until you decide to open it. So you're different. The words, your thoughts, they're all different, and they can work to your benefit or they can't, but you are the creator of your own reality, not your thoughts, not your words. They help. You can, you can say things that obviously, like affirmations and things like that are positive, but you don't have to let the negative things control your reality. Yeah.
So I think that's where the difference lies, right? It's like we can think all of these crazy thoughts, and my theory on how our mind works and how consciousness works and how our senses work is that it's kind of like a radio signal, right? Like you can tune in to different frequencies of this reality. And based on whatever frequency you're on, that's the level of thoughts you're going to receive. So if you're in this low frequency, you're going to be getting thoughts about, like if you're angry, like I said, if you get cut off on the highway and you're mad, you're going to think some pretty low vibrational thoughts.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you have to act on them.
Exactly.
And I think that's the pause, right? So between stimulus and response, there should be a pause.
Yeah.
You should pause.
Think before you speak.
Think
and
before
act.
you act, right? It's like most people, and there's a book, it's called Thinking Fast and Slow by Danielle Kahneman.
Okay.
Really, really incredible book. Touches on this topic very in depth. And the way he describes it is there's system 1 and system 2 of thinking.
Okay.
And most people only use system 1, which is more left-brained, analytical. It's based on all of the neural pathways that you already have embedded in your head. So if you've always responded a certain way to a certain thought, most people are just always going to respond that way, right?
They're never going to rewire
Most
it.
people don't use system 2, which is your right brain. It's more intuitive. It gives you that access to the divine and to another level of understanding. But most people don't take the pause. They don't take the pause between the stimulus and the response.
Yeah.
So they just end up acting exactly however they.
Yeah. It's so hard to rewire your brain in a way that you've been taught to have these reactions or these responses to go, oh wait, hey, maybe I don't want to react that way. Most people don't think that, as you were saying. Like most people don't even have that thought of maybe I want to respond different. And that's, as we got into the last episode, was healing. And like a big part of that is, rewiring the way that you respond to things, because you can never change what's going on the outside, but changing how you react to what's going on the outside, that shows development in you.
That's where your
person.
Power lies.
Yeah.
The power lies in that space. In the space between stimulus and response, you have so much control if you allow yourself to take the space, to take the pause, to think, or like to really digest the thought before you say anything or before you act in any type of way about that thought. You got to actually let it digest for a minute, really think it through, let it go through system 2, It's like most people just respond to life, woe is me, life is happening to me, I'm the victim, and it's like
victim mentality.
Yeah, and it's most people.
Hate it.
It's surprisingly just like most people, and it's insane, honestly. But I think that's where your real power lies, and that's really how you start to gain control over your life and over how your reality looks, right? Like you said, you're creating your reality by your responses and your actions. So if your responses and your actions are always negative victim mentality, what do you think your reality?
You keep saying, I can't do something, this always happens to me, it's going to happen. Like that. It's just, you will it into existence by believing that you always get a flat tire, or all these things bad always happens to you. Like, poor me, it's going to keep happening to you. But you just have to keep believing that, why not me? Why can't I be a winner? Why can't I succeed? Why can't these things happen to me? And the more you believe that is for you, like every time I see something that I want, instead of getting jealous, like I feel like the old version of me did, when I see something that I want that somebody else has, I just go, that's for me. That's for me. Like, instead of feeling any jealousy. Yeah, and I'm so happy that you have that. I also want that, but I would never want to take that from you.
Right.
But I would also like that.
But it inspires me.
Yeah.
The fact that you have it means that I can have it, too.
Then I can have it, exactly. Yeah.
And it's like that, I think Henry Ford said this, but it's like, if you think you can or you think you can't, either way, you're right.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's exactly what you're saying. Yeah. And it's like, that's such a powerful quote. I love that quote. I say it anytime I get the chance, because especially like my mom, I tell her this all the time, because my mom is very victim mentality, woe is me, like
we've talked
kind
about
of personality.
This a little bit.
And anytime she's like, well, I can't do that. I'm like, well, if you think you can't, then you can't.
Yeah. Sorry.
I'm like, but if you thought that you could, you probably could. And I just try to like put it in her head, like, you saying you can't, it means you can't. Like, get that through your head that you're creating that. You actually can't if you think you can't. So
yeah, there's something in your brain that like you don't try as hard. You like, and a winner is just a failure that tried one more time. Like, you just have to keep going and believe that you will get there, because your belief is stronger than any reality you're in. If you believe that, I'm sorry, but there's never been anything in my entire life that I've ever really wanted and put action towards that I haven't got.
Yes.
You can say, oh, I'm bad at math, but have I ever really studied math? Like, have I ever really tried my hardest to know all it is about math? No. So I can't say I've failed at it, because I've never really tried. And I feel like a lot of people think they've failed at things that they don't really try. Because I think if you try your hardest, you're going to succeed at some point.
Yes, I agree with you. And I think that's the issue. It's like what you were saying, like, it's sometimes just one try away. It's like that picture of that guy mining for gold. You know what I'm talking?
And then he stops and there's like a whole thing behind him.
And then the person below him gets to it, and the guy turns around right before like one last little
You just
nudge.
have to keep swimming. Just Just keep
Yes.
swimming. Just keep going. Don't mind me.
But to that point, I had something else to say besides the mining picture. What were you saying right before?
We're gonna have to bleep this out.
No, that's fine. I'll cut it out.
I don't know. I was talking about like a winner is just a failure one more time, and then
You said you do something. You're like Oh, okay. I know what it is now.
All right.
So you were saying like, if you believe in anything and you try hard enough, you're going to be able to do it eventually. Mm-hmm. You just have to put in all of your will. And I think that that's an important point to make, because a lot of people go through our schooling system, like, and they're like, oh, I have ADHD, or I failed at this class, or I'm not good at school, you know? And so they think that they're talentless. They think that they're not going to succeed in life, because our school system is quite literally set up to make people believe that. Like, if you're not a working class.
Yeah, if you don't do exactly what you're told when you're told it, you are stupid.
Yeah.
And you're never going to make it far. That's literally what I was told as a kid. I was never good in school. I was told by teachers, literally, you are stupid. You don't, like, I was, you know, and now I'm an executive assistant, and my boss used to have 2 full-time assistants. I'm the best person that's ever been in my job. Like, I learn by failing forward. And I'm a hands-on learner, and for so long, I thought I was stupid because I didn't learn in the traditional way that school said I was supposed to learn. And I just felt like inadequate for so long. And then I realized, oh, wait a second, I just learn in a different way. Like, I didn't read a lot of books growing up because it was always hard for me to focus on books. But it turned out I just wasn't reading the right books, and I wasn't interested. And now I love reading. And for so long, I was like, okay, well, maybe I am stupid. But then I found topics and all these things that I was interested in. And I was like, oh, my God, I love reading and I love learning things. It's just that the information didn't excite me, so I didn't want to learn it.
Exactly. And that was exactly the point I was trying to get to, especially with the ADHD thing. I think ADHD is a superpower.
I have ADHD. Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, I think
that the issue is the information and that we're taught in school is boring. Mm-hmm. Most people don't care about it. No. And so, of course, it's hard for most people to learn it because they're not interested in the subject. And then, they can't sit still in class, so now they have ADHD, and let's put them on meth. And like, you know what I mean? So I think that when a child cannot sit still or cannot learn by a standard system that is totally just corrupt in and of itself, we don't have to go down that rabbit hole. But my point is that if you present that child with something information that they're interested in, or sit them in front of a piano because they love watching, someone else play piano, or whatever that child is interested in that you naturally see them gravitate towards, let them dive into that subject. Let them play that instrument. Let them play that sport and see how much they succeed. It's not that they're stupid or useless. It's just they're not participating in something that excites them. Yeah. And it's like...
And like, why do I care? Like, as a kid, why do I care what you're teaching me?
Exactly.
If it doesn't benefit me, like, even changing math problems to be something that you would use, I can figure out the problem. But if it's something that I wouldn't use or, like, makes no sense to me, and I always also thought I was bad at math. I do accounting in my job now, and I catch issues that our accounting team doesn't catch. So it's not that I had a problem with math, it's just that I wasn't presented math in the way that I needed to use it.
Exactly.
And so
it didn't seem useful.
Yeah, no, so I didn't care about it.
Exactly. And I think that everyone has a different purpose, like things that are going to seem useful to some people that seem useless to others.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important to understand, and especially not to go back and harp on this, but especially in our schooling system, it's so unfortunate how many children get lost in the sauce and feel like they can never have success because no one is pushing them in a direction that excites them. It's like, it's so unfair. And I also wanted to say, because you said something about failing and how you just have to keep getting back up.
Yeah.
But I heard this yesterday, and I love this. The only difference between a breakdown and a breakthrough is the direction that you travel after you break.
I love that.
Isn't that awesome?
I love that.
I literally wrote it down to make a TikTok about it yesterday because I'm like, this is so powerful. And it's so true. It is about the direction that you go after you break. Is it going to be a breakdown? Are you going to lose all your marbles over this one thing that made you break? Or are you going to use it as motivation to be a breakthrough in your life?
And that goes back to thoughts and actions. Like, how are you going to take what happened to you? Are you going to take it, oh, great, now I just don't do it that way, and I learned now we're going to try it a different way? Or are you going to say, okay, that didn't work, fuck me, screw this, like, I guess I should just go die in a hole? Like, because some people do that. They fail, and they're like, oh, I suck, I'm so bad, I just can't do anything. And it's like, yeah, you're going to continue to go there if you keep saying that. But if you keep trying and have a positive outlook and a positive mentality and have people that lift you up and aren't bringing you down too, because a lot of people, when you start getting up, they start pulling you down because they want you to stay at their frequency and their level. So when you start elevating, they're like, let me find any way that I can to tear you back down so that you can be down here with me. Nobody that's ever more successful than you will put you down. Only people that are less successful than you will bring you down.
Absolutely.
You should that's going back to, you should never take criticism from someone you wouldn't take advice from. Like, why are you allowing someone to tear you down that is not doing what you're doing? They're not having the thoughts that you have. That's why they're jealous. They're trying to take you down. But someone that's been through the steps that it takes to succeed and knows how hard it is to break out of the system, be uncomfortable, nobody that has done that will ever try to tear you down because they understand what you're going through.
Yeah, and amen to that. I completely agree with you. I really think it's funny when you start seeing yourself elevate and your light shines a little brighter and you notice people just intentionally trying to dim your light.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important. I mean, and we've talked about this before, like the 5 people you spend the most time with are who you become, and you just have to keep your circle elevating you all the time. Like, if people aren't your supporter, then they're tearing you down. I don't believe in mediocrity. No. I don't think that there's anything that's middle ground. If someone is not on your team, then they're against you, and that's that. If they're not cheering you on, then they're bringing you down, and that's that. Like, I don't think that anything in life lies in the middle. It's either one direction or the other, and I think it all leads towards increasing the quality of your consciousness.
Yeah.
Like, the way that we evolve, and not just us, any level of life, but it's always trying to form more order. The opposite of order is chaos. So if you're creating more order in your life, you're increasing the quality of your consciousness. If you're creating more chaos in your life, then you're going backwards. You're not evolving in a positive way. You're going backwards. So it's doing yourself a disservice to allow that type
what are
of
you
people.
going to accept? Like, that's something that everyone should honestly write down. Like, what are you going to accept in a friendship, and what are you not? What are you going to accept in a relationship, and what are you not? And then stick to it. And for me, it's always been so helpful to write things down, because I get distracted really easily. And so, like, writing things down and looking at it helps me a lot. And just, like, what are things, like, and you should always, in my opinion, just my opinion, be friends with people that share your values, because if you're not friends or in relationships with people that share your values, you're constantly setting yourself up to be in pain. And you can't expect somebody else to be any different if you know their values and you chose to ignore it.
Right.
Like somebody who always shows up late and it really bothers you, but that you just know that about them. So are you going to accept that and stay friends with them even though they've shown up late at something that meant so much to you? Or are you going to continue to be friends with them even though that's hurting your boundaries and breaking your boundaries? Or are you going to say, hey, maybe this is something I can't continue to be around because it hurts me and it's making me feel uncomfortable in situations, and maybe they change or maybe they don't. Maybe they stay, maybe they don't. But you have to be okay with somebody leaving. And that's where people, I think, have such an issue. I've definitely had that issue, is saying, oh, I really don't like this. I don't like how I feel in this situation, but I like this person so much. But it's like, I mean, for me at least, if somebody sat me down and told me that some of my behavior was hurting them and they meant a lot to me, I would change my behavior to stay in their life.
Absolutely.
And so if somebody's not willing to change their behavior to make you feel better about the relationship, then I don't think they're really worth having any type of relationship with.
I completely agree. I think as you level up in life, the people sitting at your table change, you know? And like boundaries really are the highest form of self-love. I think we get that confused, and sometimes we feel like by setting this boundary, oh, I might be hurting this person, or I might seem stuck up, or I might seem too high maintenance, or whatever the case may be, whatever guilt that you're feeling for setting a boundary. But I just want to remind everyone that boundaries really are the highest form of self-love, and you can't get to these other levels of life, like we said, when you have these people at your table who are just dragging you down.
And if you love that person that you're friends with, like, I would never want to make you feel uncomfortable. I would want you to set a boundary with me so I don't make you feel uncomfortable because I love you and you're my friend.
Exactly. And I've had friendships in the past, like one in particular, where you know, to each their own. I don't hold a grudge against this person by any means, but we were friends and really good friends for a long time. And apparently at some point I had crossed her boundaries, and instead of asking me or talking to me about it or bringing it up at all, she's just like, you've crossed my boundaries, we can't be friends. And I asked her, I'm like, okay, even if you don't want to be friends with me, can I know like what I did in order to cross your boundaries, just so I can be a better friend in the future? Like, you know, she didn't have anything to say about it. We've never talked about it. We haven't been friends for like over a year now. And so I would suggest to everyone, just from that certain situation in particular, it's like, great, good for her that she, you know, she had a boundary that I crossed and she wanted to cut me out of her life. Sure, if that's really what happened, then I'm happy for her. But at the end of the day, I think the best friendships come when, like you said, when you're able to express that boundary and when you feel safe enough in that relationship with that person to be like, hey, this thing that you're doing is making me uncomfortable.
And it makes friendships and relationships so much stronger when you can have that feeling of uncomfortableness with that person and say, hey, I didn't like this, and they can either prove you right or prove you wrong, and then you have to make decisions based on, you know, what happened. But for me, I've had, you know, friendships where you don't want to bring up something and then you finally do, and they're like, oh my God, I didn't know. Like, I had no idea, because you can't expect somebody to read your mind. It's so childish.
To another point, one of my best friends, and I'll even say, Shari, I love you. One of my best friends, Shari, we had a bit of a issue. Like, this was probably like a year ago, but there was something that I was doing in our work environment that was upsetting her. And I was completely unaware of it. And she brought it up to me, and I was like, I literally cried. I was like, oh my God, I made you feel that way.
You had no idea.
I literally felt so bad. I was like, I cannot believe that I made you feel that way. I'm so glad that you brought this up to me. I promise I will never do that again. Like,
and that's
I
true
love you and
you
thank you. Like, yeah, like I literally, like, she made me cry because I'm like, oh my God, I made you feel like this. Like, I would never want to make you feel like this. Like, I love you so much. I will do anything to never make you feel like that again. And like, that's how a real friend should respond, you know? And like, that's the type of real friendship that we have and that I appreciate so much. And like, it's so important to have the hard conversations, especially in close friendships and relationships. Like
relationships too. And I don't know why it's so much harder with somebody that you're romantically involved with than somebody you're friends with. But if you wouldn't take that behavior from a friend, why would you take it from a romantic partner? It doesn't make sense to me. I've done this a million times. I was like, if my friend ever did that to me, she'd be cut off in an instant. But like, your romantic partner does it and you're like, oh, but let me just find a way to like make it okay. And it's so hard. It's so hard. Like, that journey is so hard, being I'm not going to take that. Not for me.
That is a tough one. I don't
know why it is that for...
Like, I think love just blinds you.
Yeah,
it really does. And there are different levels of love. Like, loving a friend is not the same.
No, it's not the same.
As having an intimate relationship with someone. And it does get, and you do let a lot of things slide. You just do. And that's an interesting point to bring up. I think that everyone can relate to that, and that there are a million things that people think of right away that they would never let a friend get away.
Like, I will fight you right now, but if your romantic partner does it, you're like, well, I can forgive this. It can be forgiven. Exactly. Like, I don't get it, but it's just like that's the way the brain works. Weak. Love does. God damn it.
Love makes you weak sauce. Dang it.
But that's what's cool, though, is when you have a partner that is, when you can make mistakes and your partner can tell you, hey, I didn't like this, and then you fix it and you grow off of that, because everyone's going to make mistakes.
Yes.
And you can never expect a partner to be perfect, but what you should expect from a partner is that when you have a conversation, that actions change and things change to make other people feel more comfortable, and that you're evolving together.
I completely agree with that. And I can say that I definitely have that in my current relationship. Like, there are things for sure that we've both gotten annoyed or just like don't like about the other person, but I think we have such love for each other innately that we're both so willing, like, oh yeah, like I can work on that, like I can never do that again. And there were a few things in like the beginning of our relationship that, I mean, I was single for 4.5 years before I met him, so there were a few aspects to my personality and lifestyle that he didn't love, you know. And at first I was kind of like, but this is like the person that I've become over all this time, and I'm like, yeah, but also I've been single this whole time, so I have to give him grace and like rewire my brain in certain ways in order to better serve our relationship. Like, it's not about him, it's just like, if I want to be a wife and have kids, then I have to, you know, come into balance with that and come into agreement with what, you know, helps us moving forward. What is going to be the best thing for us to utilize moving forward? Is this aspect of my personality doing damage? Probably. So maybe I should work on it, you know? And so I think that, I think it's really important. I think that is such a healthy love to have when you can really, because like, I mean, we get deep, and even Carly's seen it like firsthand. She's like, you guys always debate like this? And I'm like, yeah, actually we do. Like, if we disagree about something,
I've yet to see this. I've yet to see this.
We will go to lengths to be like, well, what about this? And then like,
and that's
be like,
so
well, what
healthy.
about this?
Like, that's so healthy that you can have a differing opinion
and
still be like, I love you. That's totally fine. That you think that way and I think this way, and we battled it out, and it's like, okay, cool. Like,
yes. And sometimes it lasts a couple days, you know? Like, sometimes I'm like, I still don't understand why you think this way.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I don't understand why you think this way. Yeah. And it takes us some time, a few conversations sometimes about a certain subject to really understand each other. But what we have discovered in the links of all of that is that we are like the yin to the yang, and that a lot of ways that we differ in our thinking is just like masculine and feminine. Like, it's just like,
and men and women are not the same, so don't try to talk women language to men, and men don't try to talk women language men language to women. Like, it's not the same, and our brains don't work the same. And like, you can say something in a way 1,000 times, but men's brains may not understand it. And then a man can say something in 1,000 different ways, but if you're not speaking the language of the person that you're trying to get to understand you, it's really hard to get somewhere.
Yes.
And like, learning people's love languages and stuff like that. Like, if you need to speak to that person in the language that they receive, not the one that you know how to speak. And that's why it's important to learn how other people perceive things and how people understand things, because just because you think a certain way doesn't mean anyone could ever understand it, even if you said it in all these different ways, if you're not saying it in a way that they would understand it.
1,000%. I have learned through this relationship to not, once I realize a certain thing that I'm saying is not resonating, like he's not hearing it.
Yeah, you're just like over and over, and it's like,
the way that I'm trying to say. So then I seek out that information from a male perspective. So I'll find it on Joe Rogan, or I'll find, you know, someone else talking about, or even God. I'll find it in the Bible. Or ironically, sometimes we'll go to church. And because where we always differ is like, I'm a little, well, obviously, spiritually speaking, I'm a little woo-woo with some certain things. I'm very energy forward, right? And he's very logical, like masculine energy, right? And so sometimes I say things and it just doesn't resonate, and he's like, well, I just think this. And I'm like, yeah, but that's just not what God teaches. Like, this is just, and I don't want to insult you. I'm not trying to make you feel like you're a sinner and you're, you know, bad. But it will just ironically happen sometimes that we disagree on a certain thing, and then we'll go to church that Sunday, and that will be the message. And I'll be like, did you like that perspective of that message?
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Yeah. I love when that happens.
Yes.
I love when that happens.
It happens so much with us. Because it comes
from somebody else.
Yes.
So they're able, because sometimes people feel like you're attacking them.
Yes.
And then it comes from someone else, and they're like, oh, oh, wow, look at that little bit of information.
Yes. It's so satisfying too, especially when I'm really trying to get my point and it's just not happening from my mouth. Like, it's just not going to happen from my mouth.
There's nothing you can say, but someone else says it, and they're like, wait a second.
Oh,
maybe that makes sense.
Okay, so just to touch on the last point we want to make, because it's a pretty big topic, so I want to give us a little bit of time to dive into this here. But psychedelics, how has that allowed you to connect to the divine, and how have you used that in your life to better connect to that positive way of thinking and that more observer state of yourself? What's your perspective on that?
Yeah, so I think psychedelics are a huge way that people can tap into certain waves and certain frequencies, because it lets your guard down a little bit, because I feel like all the time we're kind of operating on this, like, we're doing this and we're doing that, but then when you do a psychedelic, it kind of breaks down that barrier where you're able to feel a little bit more and be a little more open to what's going on. And I've had some great experiences with psychedelics. I've done shrooms a significant amount of times, and I've felt, I've had bad experiences where I just feel like I'm so trapped, but then if I look at it from a bigger perspective, I'm actually feeling trapped in my life in general, and I need to, like, work through that. And then there's been times where I've made, like, full breakthroughs where I feel like I've basically, like, conquered the reason of the universe. And, like, I know, I, like, figure out my purpose, and I'm like, okay, I've always kind of known my purpose was something greater. Like, I was actually talking to my friend the other day, and I didn't even recognize that I did this, and she was telling me that from, like, a young age, from, like, sophomore in high school, she said, you always told us that you were going to, like, make it big and do something big, and, you were going to influence all these people. You always said that. And I was like, I don't remember saying that, because I don't remember being that confident that I was going to change anybody's lives. And now this thing has shifted for me, where I feel like I really want to share what I have, because I think I have so many things that can help other people. And I never really noticed that. And I started dabbling in, like, psychedelics in, like, high school. And then when I was in college in Santa Barbara, I had the most profound, insane experience of my whole life, which was on salvia, which was legal.
Oh, wow. I've never done that.
So it was legal in Santa Barbara.
It's legal everywhere, I think.
Is it still legal?
I'm pretty sure.
It should not be legal.
I agree with that.
It should not be legal. It's, like, the most powerful psychedelic. I wouldn't even put it in the same class as mushrooms. It's not
it's not
the same. And I was alone in my apartment in Santa Barbara with my dog, and I was like, I'm just going to smoke some salvia today, and, like, literally had no idea what I was getting myself into. I had no idea. I didn't do any research. I didn't do anything.
Skyla.
Right? Yeah. Okay. So I'm sitting there.
This girl's crazy. She's crazy. What?
So I'm sitting there on my couch. It was also April Fool's Day, which I think is just funny to add in there. And so I'm sitting on my couch. I take a bong out and I rip a bowl. Nothing happens. And I was like, this ain't shit. I packed another bowl and I ripped the second bowl, and I'm sitting there on the couch, and all of a sudden the whole room breaks in half and crumbles down, and I crumble down with the room, and I'm crumbled down all over the floor, and everything was in all these different triangles, and my body was split into all these different triangles all across the room, and I went to this other dimension. Like, I went to another place. And as this is all happening and I'm broken all over the place in the floor, like in the ground, I also, like, fell over, like on the couch. And I wish I had recorded this because it was probably insane. And so I'm pushing this wheel that's, like, going downwards. And I was pushing this wheel with every bit of strength that I had of my entire existence. I was pushing this wheel that was going down. And there was this triangle over here that had an eyeball in the middle of it, like the fucking Illuminati. Creepy as hell. And I noticed that this triangle has a presence to it. And it was like an entity that was over here. And then I start talking to the entity, and I was like, what's going on? Like, am I dead? Where am I? What the fuck's going on? And it's like, what do you mean? What's going on? Are you dead? You were never alive. You've always been here. And the place that I was felt like I had never been anywhere else. The place that I was felt like I had always only been there. And so I'm pushing the wheel. It's going downwards. And I'm like, but wait a second. What do you mean dead? Like, I was alive. Like, what about Skyla? And it started laughing at me. And it was like, ha, 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 Skyla? Like, what do you mean, Skyla? Skyla doesn't exist. Like, you've always been here. Like, Skyla doesn't exist. And I was like, but wait a second. And, like, okay, also simultaneously, my dog is, like, floating in triangles. And I'm like, well, can I bring my dog with me? Like, can she come with me to wherever we're going? Little side note, that also happened. She's, like, floating in triangles. I was like, can my dog come? And so it's laughing at me, basically saying, like, Skyla doesn't exist. And I was like, but I don't think that's true. Like, I have memories of Skyla. And then all of a sudden, this flip book started happening over here of my life. And there was this memory of my brother and I playing in the garden when I was like 2. And I think it was my first memory. And it was flipping the book, and the book was going away from me, and I was going down. I was pushing the wheel down, and the book was going away. And I was like, fuck this. And I started pulling back on the wheel with everything that I had. I started pulling back, and I was like, you're wrong. I'm Skyla. This is my life. I'm fighting for this right now. And it took like every ounce of strength that I had pulling this wheel backwards. And then all of a sudden my like sound started coming in of real life.
It's a short-lived trip, right?
Who knows? I mean, it lasted forever for me. And so I'm also playing this like drum music, so it's like like fucking like ritualistic music because I just love to mess with myself. And so I like the sound starts coming in and I was like, oh, wait a second, Skyla put this music on. Skyla's weird ass put this music on. And so at this point, I'm like on the floor, right? I'm like on the floor because I can't see anything in my apartment. I'm still in this other dimension. And my phone was on one of those like speaker systems where your phone's like plugged into it, like one of those old iPod thing, ones. Yeah. And so I'm on the floor because I could hear the music. So I'm getting closer to the music and I'm listening to the music. And then I smack the phone off of the little speaker, and then all the visuals stop, and I'm like, boom, back in my apartment, and the music was gone, and I was just back in my apartment. And it was like I time traveled, or I don't know what happened, and I was just like back in my apartment, and I was like, what the hell just happened? I was like, hello? Like, are you still here? Like, what's going on? And I sat on the ground for like a good hour trying to like contemplate what the heck just happened to me. And finally, I was like, okay, we're going to get on our day here. And I stood up, and I had this really big mirror in my apartment, and I looked at myself in the mirror, and my whole aura and body was just glowing like an angel. And this was like an hour after I did the salvia. So, I mean, it wasn't still like, I wasn't still tripping. And it was like, I was just fully glowing like an angel. Like, I had never seen myself in that light before. And I just started crying because it was the first time in my entire life that I felt so happy to be me. And I felt like I fought to be me. When it came down to it, I fought to have this life, even though I've been through some really terrible stuff. And sometimes I felt like there was no way out. But when it came down to it, I fought to be me and to have this life. And I felt like so overwhelmed. And I felt like I really, like, that was a breakthrough moment in my entire life because it changed my perspective on how I love myself.
I love that.
And I was like, wait a second, I do love myself. And nobody, even if I'm literally dying, going down in a freaking thing, it's not like nobody can, if some crazy entity on a salvia trip can't tell me that like this life isn't real and everything that I've built isn't for a purpose,
I love that.
Nobody can tell me anything. And I have this little like triangle tattoo that I got. That's like the way that the triangles looked. It was like isosceles triangles all over the room. And so that for me has been like the most insane experience that I've ever had, because I feel like I just got so much closer to how I love myself.
Right.
And I thought it was such a beautiful experience.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah, I want to do it again someday, but a little scared.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone have a really good salvia experience.
Wait, I forgot to mention. So after I did the salvia, I did research, and a bunch of people reported that they were pushing a wheel and that they saw triangles on salvia. And so I think at some level, we're all pushing a wheel of energy. We're all pushing a wheel. So I think there is some version of me that is in the place that I went.
Yeah.
And that's why it felt like I had always been there. Because
That's
I have.
so interesting that you say that, because like the way that you said when you were there, it's like that's where you've always been. Because have you done DMT?
No, not yet.
Okay, so I've done DMT a lot, probably 10 plus times. But I will say the first night that I did it like I blasted off like 5 different times that night. And the first time that I went, it felt like more familiar than anything I've ever felt.
Yeah.
Like I kept remembering thinking, of course, these people are here. Of course, this is the decor here, and this is like the way it's all set up, and this is the energy, and this is the sounds, even like just everything about it felt like my soul had been there for always.
Felt
like for
so undeniably
always.
real.
Yes. Undeniably the most real I've ever felt. And it felt very like home. Like that's where like my soul
That's where you've
is.
always been.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I also had another experience that same night, the first time I did it, where I was getting comfortable. I think this was like the 3rd time I did it. And I was getting comfortable with the way that you leave your body. Like you really feel yourself leave your physical like boundaries. Like you know how like we're bounded in this physical body. But when you get used to the place that DMT takes you, so like I said, it was like the 3rd time, so I'm like kind of understanding what I have to do to get there kind of thing. And so I started immediately this time, when I started feeling it, I just let go.
Yeah.
Like completely let go of my body, and I could feel myself expanding into everything. I mean, like the whole universe. Like I felt like my conscious awareness was just going on for infinity. Like I could feel myself becoming everything.
That's so beautiful.
And then once I got there and I was really fully just not bound by anything, once I finally was completely free and expanded into everything, I was presented with these deities, and they were showing me a symphony. And I was realizing that the symphony, the vibe that I was getting from the music was dependent on how I was feeling. So they were showing me, like, when you have this happy feeling, the music sounds happy and bubbly and exciting. And if you feel scared or confused, then it gets a little darker. And, like, what I took from it was that your feelings control the symphony that's orchestrating your entire reality. And so it was just such a beautiful lesson, because, like, I've always understood that. I've always understood feelings as, like, a divine sense, you know, like how we were talking about in a previous episode, we have more than 5 senses. But yeah, I think feelings are one of those senses, and I think they're direct from the divine, and I think
it's an indicator of how you should act.
Yes, it's an indicator. Yes, exactly. It's almost like a compass, you know,
you shouldn't like let your feelings overwhelm you. You should go, hey, I'm feeling this way. What is this telling me?
Yes.
Instead of letting it run you over, say why. And I also learned this recently that I thought was so amazing, is that angry is just sad's bodyguard.
Yeah.
And I was like,
that's real.
Yeah. That you just need to pay attention to your emotions. Don't let them overwhelm you, but just say, how can I navigate this?
Yeah, and I think also it goes back to the point that we brought up in the last episode about how language is limiting. Because we define this feeling as angry, and then so it has this negative association with it because it has that definition, and that's just how our brains work. And this is okay. So this goes back to my point that I wanted to say when we first got into this topic of psychedelics. The reason why how you were saying in the beginning, it kind of opens you up a little bit and it allows you to think in different ways. And the reason why is because your neural plasticity is at an all-time high. So most of the time, your neural pathways aren't very plastic. They're not like able to move around very easily.
So it literally does open up your senses.
Yeah. So your neural...
Like scientifically.
Yes. Scientifically,
that's cool.
at least psilocybin. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm sure psilocybin and LSD are very similar in that regard. I'm not sure how, DMT plays into that or salvia or any of that, but I know as far as psilocybin, for sure, your neuroplasticity is at an all-time high. So there's this picture that kind of expresses this. If you look up a Google image of increased neuroplasticity on psilocybin, you'll find this image, but it's like a circle and it shows your normal brain pathways and it's just a few of them. And then when you're on psychedelics, it's a crazy amount of all of the connections all over the whole circle. And it's because you're allowed to think outside the box. When you're on psychedelics, your brain just allows you to see these different perspectives and you're not stuck.
Yeah, and it finds the best pathway,
the path of least resistance.
Yeah, the path of have you seen the one? It's in the Japanese railroad or system where there's an underground railroad system.
The slime mold.
And they put the what is it? A mushroom or not? I think it's a mushroom.
I think it's slime mold.
Slime mold.
So most single cell organisms always are working towards finding the path of least resistance. So they put the food of the mold where the railway stations are, and then it rerouted their entire...
found a way better pathway,
way better path than what humans could find because the slime mold will always grow towards the path of least resistance. And so, that's how... I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. But it's crazy. It's insane.
Yeah. It's I want to do ayahuasca really bad, but I want to do it right where I go for 2 weeks and don't have my phone and don't communicate with anyone from the outside world and do that whole thing because I feel like that is such a deeper experience than anything, but I'm also not looking for it. I think it'll find me when I'm ready.
I have always said that.
Yeah, I'm not going to go searching for it, but I think it'll find me at the perfect time where I'm ready for it, but I'm not there yet. And there's so many different things that I want to experience, but I think that they get brought to you when you're ready. And psychedelics should be used as a tool and not as trying to numb yourself or escape something. They should be used to try to better yourself and your environment and the way your brain works. And I think it's so important.
When the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Yeah.
That's just how life works.
And I will end it on that. So
yeah, guys, we have to wrap it up, but we will get more into psychedelics another time because I knew that's why I tried to bring it up a little early because I'm we could talk about this for 10 years. So we'll do a part 2 to our psychedelic journeys.
Yes.
And
well, thank you. Stay tuned.
Thanks, guys.